then, hobbyists. In the words of Freddie Mercury and Queen, when they fully embrace dressing up like yuppies, I want it all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want it all. I want it all, and I want it now. Oh, 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 oh. I wonder if they gave Veruca Salt from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory a writing credit for this. The reason I mention this is that Tamiya have produced a multitude of vehicles. We all have our favourites, and it has been said you can't have them all, mainly due to needing Rockefeller-type money, but also, where would you keep a fleet of this size? But we all do like new vehicles to build and drive, so decisions have to be made. Now, I have wanted a Tamiya Scorcher for quite some time now, as I have a few projects in mind for one, but as it's the mid to high tier in the Tamiya price spectrum, it was on the back burner. This was until I received a message from the RC Elf, who kindly said he wishes to donate a car to the channel. After a bit of back and forth, mainly because I thought he'd meant to contact a more popular channel, you know the type, where they have interesting content and quote model numbers and so on. But it does seem that he did mean to contact this Tin Pot operation, and after a couple of days, this arrived. So a massive thank you to the RC Elf and associate. This is very, very kind indeed. I'm not going to lie, another two vehicles have also shown up after this one, but they're for future videos. If you listen carefully, you can hear YouTube groaning slightly as it knows that there's going to be more content from us. Anyway, before I give some sort of long speech or get all mushy about this stuff, let's unbox the Tamiya Scorcher. Whenever I get this damn box lid off. For me, one of the biggest surprises straight away was the Blister Packs. I've never had a kit with Blister Packs in before. I like it. You can get most Tamiya kits with or without ESCs. I tend to get them with. Again, I am not going to go brushless, and although you can use these Tamiya ESCs for brushless motors, depending on your setup, you may require something else. Next is another non-standard item, the receiver I'll be using. I recently upgraded all my radio gear to Sanwa and now use an MT44 as a radio. It's a great controller. I'm not so happy about where I bought it from, but trust me, I'll never use them again. Not being sure if this came with proper bearings or not, I thought it was safest to always order another bag, so here's some bearings. So let's look at blister pack number 1. It all seems metal. Oh, there we go, there's some bearings there, so I've answered my own question. It kind of reminds me of when I had a Meccano set as a kid. Health and safety would go mad these days if you gave a 6-year-old a box full of shrapnel. I have actually ordered a new motor for this, but currently it's on the other side of the planet, so I'm just having to wait for it to get here. So let's have a look at blister pack number 2. Here we have the tyres. They must be in this to keep them nice and fresh. We also have the gearbox housing and universal joints. Recently I found out that they used these parts on the Terminator's skull, the T101 I think it was. So far, looking at all the pieces, I can see why it covers the mid to high range on the Tamiya price guide. I will have to do some experimenting with the tyres as I have seen some slicks for this. Again, it's the same story with what's next, which is the rims. Do I go out and buy new wheels for it, or do I do like I've always wanted to try and dye these with a nylon dye because they're white? This is the most iconic part of the Tamiya Beetles in my opinion, this nose piece. The Tamiya Rally Beetle doesn't feature it unfortunately, but the Blitzer, the Monster Beetle and this does. We also have the standard Tamiya Driver. I quite like these because they don't have to be standard. After recently doing a video regarding high density foam, I have to say, this is very high density foam. Next out of the box are the decals or the stickers, whatever you want to really call them. I call them decals. I won't be using any of them for the build that I have planned. What's this? A correction. I thought it said first in quality around the world, but it doesn't. I have read this now multiple times and it makes no sense. I'm glad I won't be using them now. I wasn't sure if this box was just for packaging purposes, but it is pretty heavy. Again, it's got outstanding artwork. Sounds full of bits and bobs. Good job I don't have a metal cat, or it might think it's dinner time. So here's the base or the chassis. This will be handy to attach everything to, I'd imagine. Closely followed by what I could only presume to be the bumper. An Enid Blyton lock-picking set. Again, this all does seem to be made out of different metals. Couple of springs in there also. Plastic straw type thingy. This is where I put my arm in the box and found out that it was full of smaller bags of bits and bobs. So I thought I'd tip them all out. Let's go through all of these one by one. I'm presuming this is an aerial. Right, I've been receiving letters from people with OCD. So let us do this right. We have bag A, we have bag B, we have bag C, and, upside down, bag D. Look at all these nuts, screws and washers that we've got in here. There's enough to fill a blunderbuss. Lube, oil and spanner sound like a band on a Caribbean cruise ship. Plasticky bits like cable ties and O-rings and so on. I think this might be the servo saver or something, I'm not too sure offhand. Back pumper maybe? Is this a Tamiya car or is it a kit to set up my own ironmongers? This looks like one of those gas canisters you see lying in the road where groups of teens have been. Cogs and gears. So that's the contents of the sub box, so let's continue with the rest of the box. The Beetle Shell. I am looking forward to working on this body, as I've done a lot of Lexan or polycarbonate shells recently, and they are faffy, working inside out and back to front, so hurrah! A hard body. Lights, badges and wing mirrors, windscreen and lenses and so on. I think this is for the back actually. One of the reasons why I like this model is because it's got a hard shell underneath the hard shell. Keep the sand out and all that, you know. The last item is the instruction book. It's got the usual instructions and pictograms in there. The build should go well. I am looking forward to putting this one together. The only issue is that I've still got to build my Tamiya Cosworth that I bought months ago, much to the chief engineer's amusement that it's still in pieces in the box. I need to finish that project first because I can't leave projects half done or things will just get chaotic. Once that one's sorted, then yes, this will be my next project and I'm chomping at the bit to start it. So you don't miss out on further videos and similar nonsense, please like, feel free to comment, definitely subscribe, press that bell-shaped thingy to be woken up at all hours for further content. But for now, that's your lot.